Good morning, everybody. I hope you had a good weekend and are surviving this winter weather wherever you are in the country, or the drought in the west and the blizzards in the east and the cold in the south. So I hope it's treating you okay, and we'll soon be done with this into spring. So now is the time, Monday morning calls. If you have questions, concerns, things going well, things going poorly, now is a fantastic time to bring those up. Everybody benefits from those things, so I would love to hear about it, as would everybody else. So as I'm going through the pointer of the week here, go ahead and chat with Missy, and we'll get to bring my attention to it, and we can talk about those things if people have problems or successes. So we'll go ahead and get started. Maybe. There we go. So we've had lots of updates to the close here, or at least 3 updates to the close here in the last, in January, and it has really clicked. All the guys have been coaching prior to their events have really had success with these updates or improvements. So I'm going to want to walk through them just one more time to show you all the changes that we've made so that you're clear on how they all fit together. So thanks to Mike and Eric and Dane, they were all instrumental in these positive changes. So thanks to all you guys, Mike, Eric, and Dane. Appreciate it. So here we go. I created a little flyer for the 21-point checklist to put into their client's handout sheet. So this is under the outside the box 2014 inside the under the heading handouts, and this is where this would be. So you're going to put this into the handouts with the other stuff, with the procrastinator preventer and your map of your office and the AMSLR grid and all of those things. So you're going to put this in there. The reason for this is it's going to pique their interest as they pour through all that stuff in their folder. And it says residents of whatever county, obviously you're going to have to change the county you're in, qualify for a free personalized 21-point checklist that identifies legal, financial, medical, and governmental benefits available to them. And it goes down here. I don't know if you can see, it's probably tiny, but down here it says, why do you need the 21-point checklist? The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau said information found in the 21-point checklist and resources like it are essential for everyone to have. The U.S. Treasury said that tools like the 21-point checklist can help close the gap Americans face in understanding resources available to them. 3, leading research study, Harris Interactive, found that 86% of Americans would benefit from having information a personalized 21-point checklist makes available to you. Studies reviewed by the Library of Congress found that though many Americans believe that they knew the benefits they qualified for, almost none were aware of the benefits covered by the 21-point checklist. Empirical research pursuant to Dodd-Frank Section 917 finds the kind of information available through the 21-point checklist is essential to the middle and upper middle income class. So you can see these are all footnoted down here on where they got those on. So the reason for that is going to pique their interest on what is this 21-point checklist. Then we're not going to talk about it, obviously, till the very end. So then so I just wanted to show you this. This is available under the handouts in the Outside the Box 2014. And you could use this. I would have these available all the time, because when people want to know what the 20-point checklist is, this is a nice little proof of sale why they would need it. So we go here. So this, again, the beginning of the close starts with this video. It stays the same. So we say, hey, does the little thing, or is this little thing going to have a huge effect? The decimal point, a placeholder, can that have a big effect or a small effect on your money? And they say big. And then we say, hey, you're all thinkers here, so you have good advisors, you got accountants, you got good financial advisors, attorneys, bankers, property casualties, and of course you've got good advisors, because as thinkers, if they weren't doing a good job, you would have done one a long time ago. You would have fired them. So we have that stays the same. Because they're doing all the big things. Those advisors you have are doing all the big things, because if they weren't doing the big things, again, you would have let them go. But in life, is it the big things that get you or the little things? So you got to catch the little things. For one day, you're going to look back and realize that the little things were actually the big things. So have you heard things today that you haven't heard before? I mean, had you ever thought about these things? We all agreed these 6 likely losers could happen. In fact, many of us said they will happen. But had we ever connected the dots when we believe these things are going to happen, that what it could do to the stock market and what it could do to our retirement? I mean, if we said all of these things were likely to happen, if any one of them would happen, what would happen? If 2 or 3 would happen, what was guaranteed to happen to the stock market and our investments? Had we thought about those things? Had we thought about how to get long-term care protection without paying expensive annual premiums? Had we thought about what's going to happen to our spouse when we pass away and our spouse is left with a third to half as much income, they lose a third to half their income, and it's not tied to inflation. So every year, that third to half that they lost is going to get, I mean, their income is going to get even smaller and smaller and smaller because it's not keeping up with inflation. Have we thought about those things? Have we thought about, even though if we have powers of attorney, if we don't have powers of attorney, the fact that if we don't have those 9 things that all powers of attorney are missing, it may not work when we need it most. I mean, have we thought about those things? These are little things that turn into what? Big things. So should we be proactive or reactive in life? We need to be proactive in life. So the script is all stayed the same up to this point. But then the next slide, what we're going to talk about is before we had the, I'm stepping on a role play. Before we had the 3 checklists, we had the security checklist, the home energy audit, and the auto checklist. We're not going to, we've taken that out. Now we're just going to concentrate on the auto checklist, and we're going to tell a story. Because why? I want to see some answers to this. Why do we want to tell a story at this point versus just talk about, hey, checklists are a good idea? Why do we want to tell a story? Let me see some answers. Should I be looking at questions, Missy, or chat to see what people are saying?
It's questions, but now
I got it.
stuff
They're
is
coming
in.
in.
Yep.
To make it real precipitation, so they can visualize, Frank. Exactly. Yep. Reinforce the need. Okay. People are more engaged, Kevin. Exactly when they hear a story. So a story that we've been learning, passing along information for thousands of years of stories. So the stories hit people in the gut, which is exactly where we want to hit them. Talking about the importance of checklists are hitting them in the brain. And that doesn't last very long. But when you hit them in the gut, that lasts a long time. So at this point, we're switching into a story saying, suppose, let me ask you a question. What if my daughter was going to travel across country? So my 22-year-old daughter graduated college, and she's going to go across country to her new job in Seattle. So I live in Minnesota, and she's going to go to Seattle. That's a 24-hour drive across some open territory there to get to Seattle. So I'm going to be a good father. So I'm going to go out and get a brand new car for myself, and I'm going to give her my 10-year-old car. Or will I give her the brand new car and I'll keep the 10-year-old car? Of course I'm going to keep that's a good excuse for me to get a brand new car, right? So I'm going to give her the 10-year-old car, and I think I'm a great father. And then my wife says, well, now, of course you're going to get that checked out before you go to send her on her way, right? I mean, no. It's been running great for 10 years. It's been running great for 10 years. She goes, well, my wife says, I still think you should check it out. I said, well, no, I had it tuned up not 6 months ago. It's great. It's fine. If there's something was wrong with it, I would know it. And my wife still insists, no. If she breaks down in the middle of Wyoming, in the middle of nowhere, with no help, that's not going to happen. You get the car checked out. I said, honey, leave the car to me. If there was something wrong, I would know about it. And my wife keeps insisting that you do a 21-point checklist. I said, no, the only reason they want you to do a 21-point checklist is so they can sell you something. And my wife says, no, the only reason they do a 21-point checklist is so they can find out if there's anything wrong, and then you can decide if you want to get it fixed or not. I say, listen, it's been running great. We're just going to go ahead. So, of course, my daughter takes the car, and guess what happens? She breaks down in the middle of nowhere. So she calls me. She's broken down in the middle of nowhere. I help her get help to tow her to the nearest town, which is a small town. But I'm fretting now. My wife is fretting even more because here's a single gal in the middle of nowhere calling for a tow truck with nobody with her. So I'm a little nervous, and my wife is making me even more nervous because she is letting me know that I should have got the vehicle checked out. Even though it was working well for the past 6 months and 10 years. 6 months since the last checkup, it's been working well. 10 years since I've been driving, she said I should have did this, and I didn't. So then luckily, the tow truck tows her to town, and then the mechanic basically says, oh, yeah, if you would have checked this out before you took your trip, they would have easily found this problem. So let me ask you a question. Where did I sleep for the next 2 weeks? What did my wife think about me and my whole, hey, it's been working well for 10 years, and I just had it checked out 6 months ago? You need to get these things checked out regardless of, because the problems can lie right behind, under the surface. And it's the little things that can clue us into the big things that can cause problems. And the reason I bring this story up is because there's a company I work with that has gone out and looked at the 21 and found 21 things that basically everybody in the country forgets. They're not the big things. They're the little things. They're the little things that deal with their financial situation, with their relationships with the tax and government programs, Social Security, the Veterans Administration, the IRS, on their legal matters. So it's the little things, because it has to be the little things. You got good advisors, your accountants, attorneys, bankers, brokers, insurance agents. They're taking care of the big things, but this company found that 21 things that people miss every single time. Their advisors miss every single time. And if you look in your folder, you'll find a handout that you qualify for a free 21-point checklist. And if you look down there, government agency after government agency, top independent agency after top independent agency recommend that everybody in the United States have one of these done. And very few people have them done. And the reason I bring that up is I have access to the software to do this 21-point checklist for free. So if it's free for me, guess what? It's free for you. So it's really a win-win, because you win because you get that 21-point checklist that's going to find things that, well, some of the things we pointed out was just one of those things with the powers of attorney are missing those 9 things. That's just one of the things, that power of attorney and what they're missing. So all the different things, the fact that you don't have to pay Social Security, tax on your Social Security, and you are. The fact that losing your Social Security and what you can do about that for your spouse. So your spouse isn't left holding the bag, having a third to half as much income, and going down every single year because it's not keeping up with inflation. So all those little things, and then the solutions on how to fix those things. So I can get that stuff for free, but you get the real win because you get all that information. But just like the 21-point, or just like the checklist for my daughter's car, do I have to fix those things once I've shown what's wrong? No. I can fix the ones I want to fix. I can ignore the ones I want to ignore. I can fix the things that are not cost prohibitive, and ignore the things that are cost prohibitive and really maybe aren't giving me any real benefits. I mean, for my daughter, maybe it says the air conditioning is wrong or bad, and it's going to cost $1,500 to fix it. Guess what I might say? She can live without air conditioning. But if it said that the transmission is bad and could fall out, I'm going to get that fixed. So see, the great thing about the 21-point checklist is it's going to tell you all the things that your banker, your broker, your attorney, your insurance agent, your accountant, all the things that they missed, and you can decide for yourself whether you want to take that back to them and get it fixed or not. But what it avoids is nasty surprises like my daughter ending up breaking down in the middle of nowhere. It ends up with the 21-point checklist prevents any nasty surprises where your wife needs to get your money from your IRA, and they won't allow her to get money from the IRA. Your wife passes, goes to the pearly gates, and then you end up with a third to half as much income, and it goes down every year because of inflation. It prevents those nasty surprises from hitting you that could really create havoc with your family, create havoc with your finances, create havoc with your legal matters. And these are 21 things that everybody forgets. So you win. And here's the thing, I also win, because every time I do a 21-point checklist, I get credit with the company that does the 21-point checklist. They give me free education. They give me free software. They give me continued use of the free software. So you win and I win. So let me ask you a question, though. Are you a procrastinator? Because I am. You ask my wife, I am. I wait to the very last moment to do something, and too often I wait past the last moment into the point of no return where it's actually too late. And then guess who lets me hear about that? My wife. Because once it's too late, it's what? Too late. You're exactly right. So are you a procrastinator, or would you rather tell me tomorrow? Now, folks, the reason I bring this up is we've spent the whole hour here talking about what? The tricks our brains play on us. The tricks our brain wants to tell us one thing, but we have to really slow down and think things through and get hold of our brain and actually do the right thing instead of letting the brain go the wrong direction. And the reason I bring that up is right now, as thinkers, we all know we should be doing a 21-point checklist. We should be finding out the little things that our advisors have missed. We should be figuring out how to make sure our spouse doesn't end up with a third to half as much income, how to make sure our spouse doesn't end up where she can't get access to our IRA when she needs it most, and the other 21 things that are missing. We know that we need to do that, but guess what our brain is doing right now? Our brain is trying to take a shortcut. It's racing to try to figure out why we shouldn't do this. Instead of why we should do it, it's trying to figure out why we shouldn't do it. See, our brain would rather do nothing. Our brains are lazy. Our brains are procrastinators. So we have to take control of our brain and make sure that that does not happen, that we actually do what we know we should do. So because of that, and because I know that happens with me and everybody else, I have come up with a solution. And here's the solution. If you open up your folders and pull out the Procrastinator Preventer form, I've actually taken the action of creating an appointment for you. It's already been scheduled. Now, I know that's blind, and we didn't know that you know your schedule, but the reason I do that is to prevent us from procrastinating. If we have it in the calendar, we'll at least be moving the right direction. We're defeating our brain trying to slow us down and stop us from doing things, and we're actually starting to move forward. Now, if that appointment doesn't work for you, we can always reschedule it. But at least now we're on the calendar, we're moving forward and to get that thing that you know you need, which is a 21-point checklist, which is absolutely free information that you can take back to your banker, your broker, your accountant, your attorney, to get those little things fixed so you're not hit with a bad or a nasty surprise. So I'd like to thank you all for coming today. And as we move around the room, I would like to collect the evaluation sheets. I appreciate you filling those out. And then if the appointment doesn't work for you, we'll get that rescheduled to a time that will work for you. So I appreciate you all coming today and blah, 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 blah. So this is the changes we made, okay? So the basic changes are we've added the 21-point checklist sheet to get them looking and thinking about that. We've added the preset appointments. And then we've taken out the security and the energy audits, and we're just making up or talking about the story of a daughter going across country and what kind of doghouse we would be in if we didn't get the car checked out. And the reason we're using that is a parallel story. So why do you think, let me see some answers to this, guys. Why do you think I'm saying, well, you know, the car's been working great for 10 years. Why do you think I say that in the story? So let me see some answers to that. Why do I make a big point about saying, hey, the car's been working? Yeah, great, Eric. The people think their stuff is in order, right? Right, Bruce? They think their planning is exactly. See, they're thinking everything is taken. Eric hit it right on the head where he's saying they think everything is okay because they have everything in order. I've seen my attorney. Everything's going okay. Nothing bad's happening right now. So if nothing bad's happening right now, guess what? Of course nothing bad can happen in the future. Tell me, guys, do people have that kind of mentality? Nothing bad's happening now, so of course nothing bad can happen in the future. Do they have that kind of mentality? Yes. So that's the first thing I'm saying. Then I'm saying, well, you know, I just had the car tuned up 6 months ago. So why am I saying that? Eric brings up a great point. They still tell me things are in order after the story they got sucked into. Then you remind them of the story again, exactly. So so I talk about, hey, things have been working great for 10 years. Then I bring up the fact that, hey, I just had it chewed up 6 months ago and he didn't say anything, so everything's okay. Why do I bring that up? Yes, because they just looked at something, Matt, exactly. Bram says, they just visited a planner, exactly, you guys. So I'm giving parallel story that just because things are working well now doesn't mean things can't go bad in the future. And just because you have things looked at by an advisor lately, that doesn't mean it's still not wrong. Okay, so that's why we tell the story. And as Eric points out, when you go around, if they tell you that they think things are okay, you can go right back to the story and say, yeah, remember my daughter in the middle of Wyoming and what I had to tell my wife about not doing this because I thought everything was okay, but I didn't take a look at. So it allows you to go back to that story. Does that make sense? So does everybody get any questions then on the changes that we've made here? Because the guys that are using all these changes now are hitting it out of the park. I mean, I tell you what, I haven't seen these kind of appointment ratios consistently, not just for one person, but consistently since the early 2000s. So these are awesome changes. And again, I thank Eric, Mike, and Dane for helping me with these. So is it recorded? Well, all coaching calls are recorded and are on the website, guys. So you can always go back and listen to this. So any questions on this, guys? Okay, so we'll move on forward. So what's more important? Oh, we got one question here. Will they be posted on the site as in the actual download? I'm not sure. Can
I'll-
you help me figure that out, Misty?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and actually break out this portion of the call and actually put that
Yep.
with the 2014 Outside the Box scripts and video
Super.
training.
Oh, the slides have been out there, yeah, for 2 weeks. So the slides are nothing new. They've been out there for 2 weeks. But all this is, in fact, the scripts and all of that stuff have been out there for 2 weeks. I just want to make sure everybody was aware of it and why the changes occurred. So, yes. Cool. So, guys, what's more important, the GOTS, getting on their side, or scripts? What's more important, getting on their side or scripts? GOTS, exactly right, Eric. Everybody's got it right. That's right, guys. Bill, Bruce. It's GOTS, Brahma. So that's exactly right. It's GOTS. Now, here's the thing. Why do we have scripts then? See, if we are excellent at GOTS, getting on their side, they can never kick us out. They can never get mad at us. They can never tell us to take a hike because we're constantly getting on their side, developing deeper and deeper rapport. But here's the thing. We can develop a deeper and deeper rapport, but does that necessarily mean they're going to buy for us? If we have excellent rapport, does that necessarily mean they're going to buy from us? Yes, it will at one point, but when? We don't know when. So what the scripts are designed for is what? To turn the process into a three-meeting process. So script speeds up the process, but GOTS gets the process done. I've known guys in the past 15 years that were awesome at GOTS and lousy at scripts. And they made $500,000 and above. And I've also known guys that were excellent at scripts but never learned GOTS. And they never broached $250,000. So learning the scripts just speeds the process up. If I'm going to make a mistake of learning one thing, I'm going to learn GOTS before I'm going to learn scripts. So how do you learn GOTS, guys? Hopefully we have a lot of right answers here. How do we learn GOTS? Practice, yep. Practice, discipline, focus, yep. And when can you practice? Is there a time, yeah, tape recording, Matt, exactly right. Is there a time once a week that we can practice? Fridays, yes. Anybody that misses the Fridays has got a hole in their head. That Friday half-hour call is the most important call that we do. GOTS is, somebody's asking, what is GOTS? So, Mike, it's getting on their side. We're actually going to show you what that is here in a second as we're going to listen to a tape review. So getting on their side is the most important thing that we do. And every Friday for a half hour, we role play this. And guys, if you're not, well, let me ask you a question. Do you think you can ever get good enough at GOTS that you don't have to be on those Friday calls? No. I get better every Friday I do them. So the thing is, let me ask you a question. When the NFL players, the best football players in the world, practice tackling, do they practice it differently than the collegiate players, the high school players, and the Pee-wee players? Do they have some super sophisticated, awesome, professional way to tackle that they practice? No, they practice the exact same thing. So Matt, why do they keep practicing the basics? You mean they're getting paid millions of dollars and they don't even know how to tackle yet? Yeah, exactly, Mike. Practice makes perfect. Fundamentals, Casey, exactly right. Yeah, and Brahma's saying try using GOTS in daily conversation. Absolutely. And what I love is a couple of guys have talked to me. Matt and Kevin have said they listen to when they're out and about at a cafe or at a gathering. They listen to other people's conversations, and they're amazed at how many people argue with each other subtly. Because that's what we're talking about. The subtle arguments we constantly do with people where we're trying to correct people constantly. We have to be right constantly, and that undermines getting on their side. So that's awesome. So what we're going to do today is listen to a tape. If I can get it up and running here. I have to get it to 1305. And we're going to look at, I'm trying to bring up the time here, guys, so I apologize. So here we go. We're about half a minute in, so it'll take about 30 seconds to get into it. So we're going to listen to a power of attorney meeting with an advisor who's very, very good. This guy's very, very good, and he ended up landing a million-plus account with this lady who is a difficult lady. She is not the easiest lady to work with, but he landed the account. But you're going to still see, even though about every 30 seconds he's arguing with her. And you're going to see the arguing is not like, hey, you're wrong, and let me tell you, and it's not that kind of argument. It's the subtle little things that we do continually as advisors. We constantly correct people. We constantly ignore what they say. We constantly chide them, and not in a mean way. We think we're actually helping them. But on the receiving side, it doesn't feel that way. It feels like they're being corrected. Now, it's so subtle, you'll see that the client doesn't even, if I ask them, did he just correct you, they wouldn't even say he corrected me, because all the correction is happening subconsciously. They're actually hearing, just getting a feeling where at the end of the meeting they're thinking, you know what, we just didn't seem to click. I don't know, we just keep doing what we're doing. I don't know, it seems like a nice guy, but. And you don't want that. You want them to say, wow, this guy, we clicked with him. He gets us. And that's what happens when you get good at getting on their side. So this gentleman I'm going to play here this is his first attempt, and he was awesome. He was awesome at it. But you're going to see that how many times, even though you're awesome at being nice and professional, that you still argue with them. And when you can start rooting that stuff out and instead of correcting them, give them little verbal pats on the back, you can write your own ticket at that point. So I'm going to go ahead and start playing it here. And let me see here. So the first thing we're looking for is 1336. So here we go.
Third parties.
These are issues.
Oh, if you choose not to do
exactly.
this. Okay,
yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and start with powers of attorney.
Mm-hmm.
And having the power of attorney is a great idea. Mm-hmm. And, so congratulations on making sure that that's in place. I guess it would be helpful to start by asking, and this is an open-ended question, not a rhetorical question, why do people get powers of attorney?
If you aren't able to take care of yourself or make those decisions, you need someone who can handle the finances.
Exactly. And so we're not talking about small things like making sure the garbage gets taken out to the, that the dishes get washed, but those big things.
Mm-hmm.
So he actually got on her side there. So he asked her what powers of attorney are for. She explained, and he got on her side and expanded a little bit. So that was awesome. He got on her side. That's exactly what we're looking for. So she feels like he's validating what she's saying. Okay.
And when you think about a power of attorney, are powers of attorney most of the time needed during the good times?
No, they're needed when it's bad.
Pretty much when things are bad.
So she said, no, when they're bad. She goes, yeah. He says, yeah, pretty much when things are bad. So again, getting on her side both times, good things. That's what we want to be doing. Not going on and on and on, but giving her a little pat on the back for saying, yeah, you're smart. You gave me the right answer. Thanks for giving me the right answer. That's the right way to do it. Now we started to get into some missed opportunities and problems. So here we go.
Yeah. Well, that I'm comfortable with. That's my son who's an attorney, and he's the only boy, so my kids the girls aren't all
Gotcha.
on board with that, but he lived upstairs with the other three girls. He knows well how to handle them, so I figured he'll be the best one.
Very cool. Yeah.
All of them would be capable of doing it, but I think it's better for him.
Yeah.
Either one.
And as an example, let's say
Okay, so now she went on and on about her son, and he's saying, yeah. Now, as an example, he's going to go on to his point. So what do I mean by missed opportunity there, guys? Needs a pat on the back, Mike, exactly. Because basically what he's saying is, yeah, here, whatever you say. Yeah, he sounds disinterested, Matt. That's exactly right. He ignored her comments, Frank, exactly right. So I'm going to back it up and play it all the way through. I'm going to back it up just like 10 seconds if I can, and play it all the way through. And think how she feels. She goes through, hey, I pointed my son as the agent. My daughters don't really like it, but that's too tough because he's smart and he's going to do this, that, and the other thing. And then he completely ignores her and says, well, yeah, that's fine, but let me tell you what I want to tell you. So here we go. I'm going to go back it up here if I can. It's hard to massage this. Here we go. Oops. Sorry about this, guys. It's very gross. There we go.
Upstairs with the other three girls. He knows well how to handle them, so I figured he'll be the best one.
very cool. Yeah.
All of them would be capable of doing it, but I think it's better for him.
Yeah.
Either one.
And as an example, let's say I didn't have a power of attorney, and I were.
So do you get that, guys? So he didn't do anything wrong, but he ignored her comments. Now, just think about this. The disclosure meeting is an hour and a half long to 2 hours long. So if you ignore her comments continually over and over and over, eventually she's going to get what? Irritated. She'll get standoffish. She'll get, so Now, she won't. If I interviewed her when she left, say, why do you know, what do you think happened? Well, I just don't want to work him. Why? I just don't like him. I just don't think we clicked. I don't think we... So she's not going to say, well, you know, he missed an opportunity to get on my side. That's not what she's going to say. This is all happening subconsciously. But it's this pick, 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 pick. Ignore, 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 ignore. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. It's these little ones get tired of it after a time. So here we go.
Walking across Valencia Boulevard and got hit by the proverbial bus, and I weren't able to make, you know, those kind of financial decisions by myself, and didn't have that in place. Do you think that my wife might be under a little bit of stress?
Oh, yeah, she would be.
And but for her, life continues to.
Okay, so again, she said she gave him a positive answer. Did he pat her on the back, or did he just move on to his point? So I'll back it up just a few seconds here. He just moved on, Mike, exactly. Yep, Matt, he moved on. So I'm going to play it and listen again. So she gives him the answer he wants, and he doesn't even give her a verbal pat on the back. He just moves on. Again, nothing wrong, just missed an opportunity.
As an example, let's say I didn't have a power of attorney, and I were walking across Valencia Boulevard and got hit by the proverbial bus, and I weren't able to make, you know, those kind of financial decisions by myself, and didn't have that in place. Do you think that my wife might be under a little bit of stress?
Oh, yeah, she would be.
And but for her, life continues to go on.
Okay, so what could he have said there, guys? She said, yeah, of course. Yeah, and then all he would have needed to say, yeah, I mean, she would, wouldn't she? You're exactly right. And then moved on. That's all he needed. So that took me about 4 seconds to say that, guys. So I'm not talking about going on and on and on, but even that 4 seconds, it has a huge impact when you agree with them for just that 4 seconds, especially when it's 4 seconds all the time, instead of ignoring or pick and telling them they're wrong. If you're constantly, even little verbal pats in the back, it will create a whole different rapport with them.
Right. And so the cars break down and still need to be fixed. And so she might be in a place, if I didn't have a power of attorney, where she would be.
A couple of things here. Very difficult position with the son set up. No, the son did not set up the power of attorney. The son was the agent. So she's saying the son is the agent. So she calls him the power of attorney, but he's the agent, not the actual power of attorney. But it doesn't matter, guys. I moved. So do you understand? We had somebody say, you know, it's difficult because he was thinking that the son set up the power of attorney. Guys, if you do this right, I've moved accounts where their broker was their son. Twice I did that. Why? Why can I move an account when their son is their broker? How can I do that? Why can I do that, guys? So I want to see some answers on that. Why can I do that? No, it's not because he's a moron. He's still their son. Why can I move at a disclosure meeting done correctly? Why can I move their accounts when their son is a broker? Why, guys? Somebody has to give. Okay, we're getting close. Guys, the answer is this. Am I allowed to say a bad thing about their advisor? No. Am I allowed to say a bad thing about their son? No. Who's the only person can say it? Themselves. So when you do this appropriately, they discover for themselves they can't trust their son with their money. If I attacked their son, they would never move their money from him. But by letting them slowly understand for themselves that their son was not doing the job he should be doing, when they discover for themselves, they have no problem moving the money. And they'll leave him, both times what they left him is like 1/10 of the account, just so they didn't move all the money from him. They left 1/10 of the account, but they moved the rest, the 90%, over to me. So it's because I didn't attack their son or their advisor. I let them discover it for themselves. Does that make sense? But that's outside of what we're trying to learn here. So now we're going to be listening to see if you can find out when he corrects her. So I'd like to see, when you think he's correcting her, Give me just put an X, type an X in.
Where am I going to get the money to pay for all these things? And so,
when I'm listening to the tape, and when you think he's corrected her, type in an X, guys.
so you would think, because I had been married to her all these years, they would just let her handle everything. But you think they will? If I don't have one?
I don't know.
Well, have you ever even tried to talk to, like, a cable company?
Yay! We got a lot of X's there. Exactly right. That's exactly right. So basically, she's saying, I don't know, and he's like, well, so let me explain to you. Now, he didn't mean to be mean. That laugh was not meant to be derisive, but how could it be perceived? So I'm going to back it up. So all you guys put in X's, awesome job. So I'm going to back it up a little bit and listen to what happens here again, for those of you that didn't hear that. Lots of X's, though. Great job, guys.
Just let her handle everything. But you think they will? If I don't have one?
I don't know.
Well, have you ever even tried to talk to, like, a cable company or a cell phone?
So did you hear that, guys? She says, I don't know. He's like, well, what does that make you feel when you say, I don't know, when somebody laughs? I don't care how they laugh. How does it make you feel? So we talked about this on Friday. So those of you that were good professionals and were on the call on Friday, we talked about this particular thing on Friday. When somebody says, I don't know, what do you say? When somebody says, I don't know, to something you said, or I don't understand what you're saying, or whatever, that's right, Kevin, you apologize. That's right, Kevin, you apologize. So when they say, I don't know, you say, oh, I'm sorry, I probably phrased that the wrong way. Or I'm sorry, yeah, how would you know that? Or I'm sorry, why do I want to apologize? Because I don't want them feeling like a dummy. I want to say it was my fault. Yeah, right, Mick. I could say, I'm sorry, I phrased the question poorly. So you want to take the blame for them not understanding or them not knowing. Never, ever, ever let them say I don't know or feel feel stupid. You got to jump in there with an apology. So, guys, that's the stuff that we learn on Fridays. Okay. So now we're going to look for a missed opportunity here.
Provider when your name wasn't.
Now, what was happening there, guys? Here, let me back it up and let you hear it again. Tell me what's happening. Yeah, he's over-speaking or he's talking over. Never, ever, ever, ever over-talk somebody. Now, I'm the pot calling the kettle black. I over-talk people more than anybody I know. But when I'm in front of a client, I never over-talk a client. As soon as they open their mouth, I shut up. Okay? You can't over-talk a client. And I understand, I mean, again, this guy was fantastic. This guy is awesome. But it was his first time doing it, and because of that, he's trying to stay on the script. He's a machine trying to stay on the script, which is fantastic for the first time he's doing it. But as we get better, we have to be able to ebb and flow with the conversation instead of just staying on the script. And he's worried that if she keeps talking, it'll pull him off the script, which is totally understandable. So this guy was fantastic for a first time, but over time, we want to make sure that we're less concerned about the script and more concerned about having a conversation. Okay, so we're going to listen for a missed opportunity here.
On the bill?
Oh, my name was on the bill. I think it was, I don't remember what it was. Phone company, water and power. I can't remember exactly which one, but it was years before I finally said, I'm the one that always pays bills anyway. So I couldn't even get my husband's name off when he was deceased.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you can imagine, how are the financial institutions?
So did he miss an opportunity there, guys? So she went through this whole thing about her husband and blah, 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 and he simply said, yeah, and then he went on to his point. So instead, here, I'll play it back so we can, I'll show you how I would have just stroked her a little bit there. Let's see, I don't hate to get too far back here. There we go.
A cell phone provider when your name wasn't on the bill?
Oh, my name was on the bill. I think it was, I don't remember what it was. Phone company, water and power. I can't remember exactly which one, but it was years before I finally said, I'm the one that always pays bills anyway. So I couldn't even get my husband's name off when he was deceased.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that crazy? So you were on the bill for years, and they wouldn't even let you do it when you were the one paying the bills. That's crazy, isn't it? and then I move on. That's giving her a pat on the back. But instead, here's what he does.
Yeah.
So if you can imagine, how are the financial institutions going to treat, let's say, my wife?
So he didn't do anything wrong there, because he didn't correct her, did he? He just ignored a possibility to develop a deeper rapport. And that's why this gentleman did a fantastic job, because he didn't do a lot of things wrong, which is why he was able to still get her. He just missed opportunities to create a deeper rapport. Okay? So now we're going to be listening for talking over. So tell me, let's type some X's in when you can hear him talking over, okay?
If her name isn't on, let's say, my IRA, let's say that's where all my money is.
Right.
Are they going to talk to her?
Mm-hmm. No.
Yeah. So that's why having that in place is so important.
There, yeah, it's just a tiny one. Just a tiny one. Okay, so now let's listen to this when she gets confused.
Critical and so important. But a lot of times, the fact that you have one in place doesn't necessarily mean you're out of the woods.
I guess I just want you to observe something here. We started at 13:05. We're at 16:25, means we're in this the 3.5 minutes. And how many times have we stopped with things that were missed? And this guy is good. I mean, as far as I mean, Jeff and I listen to tapes all the time. This guy is good. This guy has the chops to be a huge producer. I mean, for his first time, this is awesome. But even though he's awesome, yeah, 8 times, Michael, in 3.5 minutes. And this guy's good. So, Jeff, are you on the line? Let me see if I can get Jeff in here.
Yeah, I'm here.
There he is.
Yeah, so, Jeff, this guy is good, isn't he?
Yep, he's very good.
Yeah, so if he's doing this, then most guys are doing it how often?
Yeah, they're doing it a lot.
A lot. So that's what I want. And now, I have played this tape over and over and over for guys, and when I first play it and don't stop it and don't point these things out, guess what everybody says when they first listen to it? Well, yeah, it sounds good. Yeah, he's professional. Yeah, he's doing a good job there. It's only after we stop the tape and start listening to these tiny little things that you start to hear these things, and then they become louder and louder. So as Kevin and Matt do, they listen to other conversations, whether they're at a cafe or in church or in a gathering, and they hear people arguing with themselves like this all the time. It's the way we communicate, because we always want to be right. We always want to prove our point, not listen to somebody else's point. And if we can train that out of ourselves, it's not that hard, but you need to focus. And when you can start focusing on not doing that stuff, man, the world opens up to you guys. The world opens up to you. So here we go. Yeah, exactly, Michael. He says everyone does it. We just minimize doing it and getting better every day. That's right, because we're never going to stop. I do it. I've been doing this for 15 years, and I do it regularly. But you got to focus on it, because you never get good enough. You don't have to work on it. So here we go. Listen for when she gets confused.
Mm-hmm.
And to tell you what I mean by that.
I know.
For example, let's say that someone came in to me and gave me $10,000 to invest, and I was able to make that grow to $100,000. How would that be?
How was what?
What kind of a?
Okay. So what's he need to do there? Let's get lots of answers to this. What's he need to do there? What did she say? I'll back it up. That's right, guys. Bill, Bruce, apologize. Casey, apologize. So when she's confused, you got to take the blame for the confusion. Don't let her think it's her fault. So what he's going to do is immediately jump in. Oh, you're confused? Let me explain it to you better. What does that say to you? Well, apparently you're not very bright to begin with, so let me try it a different way. I mean, that's not what he's saying. But could it be perceived that way, especially if it happens over and over and over? So the first thing you need to do is apologize and take the blame for her not understanding. That's huge. That's huge, okay? Now we're going to listen for, I want some X's when you hear him correct her. Type in some X's when you hear her correct her.
Return with, I mean, does that sound like a
Yeah,
$10,000?
yeah, sounds like it had to be risky.
That would be good. And let's say someone else came in, and let's say over the same 5-year period of time, I was able to only make it grow to $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
What would you think of that?
Still not bad.
Yeah. still not bad. But if you had the choice between the $100,000 account and the $50,000 account, what would you choose every single time?
Well, I would want to go to sleep between that time and sure. I would rather have less money and be more secure.
I hear what you're saying, but let's say in this particular case that the $100,000.
You got it, Eric. That's right there. There, you got it. Eric, Steve, Matt types there 3 X's exactly. It's right there. So I'm going to back it up again so you can all hear this. So some of you typed in before that. No, he was going through the script as he should. But when she got the answer wrong, he corrected her. So here we go.
Good. And let's say someone else came in, and let's say over the same 5-year period of time, I was able to only make it grow to $50,000. What would you think of that?
Still not bad.
Yeah, still not bad. But if you had the choice.
Now some guys are getting confused here. I say never use but, never use but, never use but. But in this case, but is fine. In this case, but is fine. When I say don't use but, I mean don't correct the client. But you can use but in a story saying, okay, this is the way it was working, but it's going to work this way on the next scenario. So guys, and again, maybe it's the way I've explained it to you guys that have been on the Friday calls. But is only bad when you're talking or listening to what the client is saying. You never want to say answer whatever they say with the but. In this particular case, he's going through the story and he's showing contrast. We got this situation, we got this situation. So he's saying this is the way it was, but in this situation it's differently. So that's okay to use the word but there. Does that make sense? Now go ahead. Those of you that don't understand what I'm saying now, it's because you've not been on the Friday calls.
Between the $100,000 account and the $50,000 account, what would you choose every single time?
Well, I would want to go to sleep between that time and sure. I would rather have less money and be more secure.
I hear what you're saying, but let's say.
So she's saying she'd rather take the smaller amount because she wants the money to be secure. She doesn't want risk to be a part of the situation, but he disagrees with her. He's saying, well, okay, I see what you're saying, but listen to what I'm saying. This is what I really mean. So he's basically saying, you didn't hear me right. Let me explain it again. Did he do it with that tone of voice, guys, or did he do it very politely? He did it very politely. And again, he laughed, and he's doing it nicely. But unfortunately, it's not what we say or do. It's not what we say or do. As we all who are married know this. It's not how we say or do. It's how it's perceived. And that could be perceived badly. So he's going to correct her and say, yeah, well, no. This is not, I know what you're saying, but forget about that. Let me tell you what I'm really saying here. You can't do that. And then you're going to see here, she's going to start fighting back because she gets a little irritated with them.
In this particular case, that the $100,000 was secure or guaranteed, and the $50,000 was secure.
More would be better.
Yeah.
But,
all things being equal, we're looking.
See, now he's getting, she's arguing back, and what did he do when she started to argue? Did it cool him in to say, oh, I need to calm this thing down? So let's listen and see. I'm going to back it up here a little bit. So watch what happens when he disagrees with her or corrects her. So I'm going to play the whole part for about 30 seconds. Watch how this goes down, guys.
If you had the choice between the $100,000 account and the $50,000 account, what would you choose every single time?
Well, I would want to go to sleep between that time and sure. I would rather have less money and be more secure.
I hear what you're saying, but let's say in this particular case that the $100,000 was.
I'm going to stop it there. Now that but was wrong. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but that but was wrong. I understand what you're saying, but see, he was butting her. That's not good. So I apologize. I need to back it up because I want to play this all the way through. It's not very, it's gross. Sorry, here we go.
Good. And let's say someone else came in, and let's say over the same 5-year period of time, I was able to only make it grow to $50,000. What would you think of that?
Still not bad.
Yeah, still not bad. But if you had the choice between the $100,000 account and the $50,000 account, what would you choose every single time?
Well, I would want to go to sleep between that time and sure. I would rather have less money and be more secure.
I hear what you're saying, but let's say in this particular case that the $100,000 was secure or guaranteed, and the $50,000 was secure.
More would be better. But
all things being equal, we're looking for.
It always comes with a downside and a risk factor.
Yeah.
So you have to weigh.
Yeah. In this particular case, though.
So if somebody's fighting you, you need to what, guys? If somebody's fighting you, You need to stop and calm that situation down and agree with her. So what would I do there? So I'm going to back it up, and I'll jump into what I would do. Let's get back to it. Here we go.
What you're saying, but let's say in this particular case that the 100,000 was secure or guaranteed, and the 50,000 was
obviously,
secure.
more would be better.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you're right. More would be better, wouldn't it? But as you're saying, we have to consider risk here. So if we're taking a lot more risk to get the higher return, you're absolutely right. We wouldn't want to do that. We wouldn't want to do that. So you hit it right on the button. What we need to do is measure risk in there. So let's say that in this case, risk is the same, and you could have the chance between 100 versus 50. Which would you rather have? So did it sound like I was correcting her when I do it that way? I still move my point along, but did I correct her? No, so I agree with her and say, you're absolutely right, you're absolutely right, you're absolutely right. I mean, risk is a major component of this. You're absolutely right. So in this case, let's say risk is the same. But now I could say this. When she says, well, I'd rather take the lower amount because, I don't want to be risky, I say, absolutely. So let's just say that the risk is the same in this particular instance. Is that good? No. Because I just said, okay, you didn't say it right. Just, I'm discounting what she's saying. I have to get on her side before I can then say that. So I'm going to say, you're absolutely right, because risk is a huge component. And you're like me. If I've got to take a lot of risk to get a higher return, I'll take the low return every time to make sure my money's safe. I'm just like you. You're absolutely right. So in this case, let's say that the risk is the same. See, if I get on her side first, then I can say something that's reasonable. Does that make sense? Without getting her upset. And then when she starts fighting back, how do we handle that?
All things being equal, we're looking for
it always comes with a downside and a risk factor.
Yeah.
So
So
you're absolutely right, because a lot of times when you get a higher rate of return, it comes with the downside and the risk, and we worked way too hard for our money to be ignoring that risk. So you've hit it right on the head, and then I can move on. That's all you need to do, just a little bit on her side. But then instead, and then I can move on with the script. But I can't just move on the script without acknowledging her.
yeah, in this particular case, though, let's say there's a different catch rather than risk. Let's say that the $100,000 account I can't get to.
Okay, I want an X when you hear him ignore her.
When I need it the most.
That's not liquid.
Exactly. And the $50,000 account, I can get to it whenever I want. Good times, bad times, in between times. In that case, which account would you choose?
Well, it depends if you had other money that was liquid.
And let's pretend you didn't have any other money. All you had is the...
Got it. Okay, good. See, so he was right. He was on a mission, and she said, well, what about this? He goes, well, forget about what you're saying. Here's what I mean. So is he doing it meanly, guys, or is this guy nice and professional and calm and kindly? This guy is the most professional guy I've ever... He's very nice. He's very kind. So here's the thing. When this guy learns this system, when he gets the GOTS down, he's going to be unstoppable. He'll write whatever he wants to write because he's already so nice. So when he starts to be GOTS and nice, holy cow, the world is his oyster. See, I'm not a very nice person. I am brash, loud, and in your face. So if I could do as well as I did by using this, somebody who's nice, holy cow, the world's their oyster. So do you get the points I'm making here? They're not that big, but okay, we're into it for what? Now we're into it for 4 minutes, or almost 5 minutes, but we've got a dozen at least times when he's fighting her, and this is a good guy. This is a good presenter. So do you get the power of listening to a tape? Do you get the power of listening to conversations that are going around you? When you become ultra aware of those things, it stops you from doing it in your conversations. And see, this is stuff that anybody can do, but it requires laser-like focus when you're having those conversations. So when I go into a meeting, I'm actually out looking for these things. I'm not just going to say, oh, when it happens, I'll take care of it. No, I'm looking for those things. I'm looking for those things. Guys, when you're driving down the highway, and do you remember when you used to play these games where you would look at license plates for different states, or you'd look for certain signs or whatever? If you didn't actually go out looking for those things, you would never have even seen them. They would go right by you. But when you're out looking for them, you see them all over the place. And that's what I want you to do in these meetings, looking for these little opportunities to get on their side. Does that make sense? So again, are these tape reviews, if we do them on a regular basis, are they helpful to you to hear these things? Good. So, and the one point I want to make here is this lady is a tough lady. This is a smart, tough lady. And he ended up closing her for well over $1 million. Here's the thing. It wasn't how he presented this. It was just the fact that he did the 21-point checklist and did as well as he did. So you do not have to be perfect with these. Just doing the 21-point checklist and making an attempt at getting on their side, making an attempt at getting the script right, it will close tons of business for you. So when you can do the 21-point checklist and get GOTS and the scripts, that's when you can make $1 million a year, not working any harder than you're working right now. And Jeff can pretty well tell you. So Jeff, can you get back on?
Yep, I'm here.
So you heard me do meetings. The way I did meetings with clients the year I made $1 million a year, how was I better or worse than this advisor?
The last year? Yeah, you were way worse, yeah.
Yeah, this gentleman was better than I was when I was doing making $1 million a year. So we've improved this system over and over. I've improved by hearing thousands of meetings over and over and over, but I was worse than this guy, and I made $1 million a year. So why did I make $1 million a year, guys? If I was worse than this guy when I made $1 million a year, why did I make $1 million a year, guys? The 21-point checklist, Michael, exactly. The 21-point checklist. The 21-point checklist works even when you're not perfect with the scripts and perfect at getting on their side. But I will tell you, even though I wasn't perfect with the script, I was very, very good at getting on people's side the year I made $1 million a year. Nobody ever, I was an expert at when people were starting to get upset, I would calm them down by immediately getting on their side. It's the getting on their side that's the powerful thing. So be on those Friday calls, okay? Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys being on today. So a lot of people are taking the day off, but you're in here hitting it, getting better. I really appreciate that. It says a lot about you guys. So wish you a good rest of the week, and we'll talk to you all on Friday, right? Thanks, guys.
And just one quick thing, Mike. I see that Jeff M. has a hand raised. So, Jeff, I'm going to try to unmute your line.
Oh, sure.
Jeff, did you have a question? I'm not sure if he is able to talk into a microphone or not. But, Jeff, I did go ahead and unmute your line. I see your hand is up. So maybe you have a question? Okay. Well, I'm going to assume that he's not able to talk. So.
Okay. Super. You can always type your questions in, guys, because we'd be more than happy to talk about them. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.